Novocaine is directed by Dan Burke and Robert Olson and stars Jack Quaid, Amber Midthunder, Ray Nicholson, and among others. And this story, it deals with an assistant bank manager who ends up having this kind of like ability where he can't pretty much feel any type of pain, and he ends up getting his bank robbed by these group of people, these group of thieves that come in dressed as Santa Claus. And the lead up to that is that he falls for one of the employees that works there with him, played by Amber Midthunder, and he has to try to rescue her. And it's pretty straightforward. Nothing really to write home about on the plot regarding that. But if you've seen from the trailers, it pretty much has the gimmick where he has to go throughout the film getting himself seriously injured, a lot of stuff to where he can't feel pain. And it comes into all kinds of different shenanigans of all the comical stuff that he gets himself into, whether it's getting burned on his hand, whether it's taking a lot of hits and stuff. It's something that I was certainly interested in, but I still also went into it kind of thinking of your typical type of action type of film. But I still had me curious because the premise behind it really had me really going for it. And so going into the trailers for this, that's what really got me the most, especially with the cast involved with this, because I am really enjoying seeing Jack Quaid in a lot of stuff, especially from Scream, earlier this year with Companion, and I haven't seen The Boys, but I've heard he's also good in that show, and the guy just seems like he has a lot of good range with playing from very type of nerdy, awkward type of guys like you've seen in The Boys, and to other ones like you've seen in Companion, where it's just like, whoa, it's a different approach here, where he's playing like kind of unhinged type of characters, and so it's really, it just shows you how much range the guy really has, and I need to still check out The Boys, but from what I've seen clips of him, the guy is really going places, and I've also really become a really good fan of Amber Midthunder as well, especially seeing her performance in Prey. And I'm really glad to see that she's doing a lot more work these days, and hope to see her more in the future. And so, upon seeing the film, I can say that I had a blast with this. This was everything I really wanted to see out of the trailers, and it knows what it's doing with its type of gimmick, to where it's not trying to go like overly superhero-esque, where where he's kind of like Deadpool. It keeps it still on a grounded level for the most part. But I will also get into some cons with that to an extent, because there are some kind of stuff. There is some stuff later on in the film that I kind of question the longevity behind the disorder that he has, but I really had a good time with this movie. And so, to get my pros out of the way, I thought the cast in this were great. Jack Quaid, like I said, was fantastic in the role, where he's playing this kind of like, in a way, I don't know what it is, but he kind of comes across like this kind of Ben, like it was a role that was probably would have made for Ben Stiller back in the 90s. That kind of sort of awkward type of, they're so about Mary type of level, where he's just trying to get it himself out there and socialize and stuff like that, especially with the girl that he meets and everything. And he plays it so well, and the chemistry that he has with Amber Midthunder was just very sweet and genuine, and it shows a lot of the stuff they really get to know each other throughout, and even the build up to it when before the actual bank robbery goes down, where they're just they're hitting each other, where they're playing off each other and stuff and everything. It's very sweet and touching, and it was funny at times too. They were both great, and then on top of that, it was also great to see Ray Nicholson in this role, in the role as one of the thieves, and coming from his performance from Smile 2, it's great to see that he's getting more roles, especially with him being the son of Jack Nicholson and all. I hope to see more of him in the future. He plays it very well, but I do have some cons of his character later on, because they really don't really have like a whole lot of depth to his character. But I still thought he was really great. And surprisingly enough, the biggest one that stands out for me the most is actually one of the thugs, one of the other thieves that's in the film. That's this kind of like high-end guy that's like concerned about his brother and stuff. And I'm not going to go into spoilers, but if you've seen from the trailers the way that he's got Jack Quaid tied up and everything, the way he's going through pain and stuff, it was really hilarious. But it was just the way that this guy is really unhinged, and he really wants to basically test his pain for Jack Quaid's character. So he was really great. And then it's also great seeing the guy that played off the current Spider-Man movies. I forgot the guy that played Ned in the Spider-Man movies. I forgot his name. But he was it's fun seeing him too as well. And then the humor in this was just really cracking me up, especially with all the different shenanigans that Jack gets himself into, especially with some of the traps that he comes across at this one guy's house, where he has like this little bald like spike thing that's in his back, and he doesn't even notice it until he turns around. Or the part where he's going through the kitchen and he gets like a arrow in his leg and everything. It's certainly something that you would see straight out of the Saw movies or Home Alone. And so it's just really it keeps it up with how much like stuff that he really takes throughout the film. And the movie is very fast paced, where it's pretty straightforward, where he's pretty much going along with getting in and getting some pretty brutal stuff that I was really glad to see they really didn't hold back on the violence, because man, he goes through some pain like no other. And when he's all fighting everybody, he finds all kinds of different assortments and stuff to take his enemies out. And man, they don't hold back on some of the extreme on this, because there's some really gory stuff that I was really shocked of some of the stuff they got away with. If I had to get into some of my cons, though, I will have to say that I think what holds the movie back just a little bit is that I did kind of question some of the vulnerability of his character, because it did feel like when it gets to a point, it almost becomes that he gets this kind of thing where he takes adrenaline. And I'm not going to go into spoilers, but comes a point where later on in the film that, especially when it gets to the climax, that I did kind of wonder like how it was going to play out, because the longevity behind it, I did also kind of question, like, because it almost seems like he was doing stuff that was kind of impossible to do. You know what I mean? Because even though he can't feel pain, it does feel like that some of the things that he's doing throughout the film where he is taking pain, seems like it would have really got to him. It's this adrenaline boost that he takes later on that I don't know if it was meant to be like a super steroid or something, but it did make me question the longevity, especially in the climax involved. And then on top of that, the twist, there's also a twist they reveal in this that I did kind of find myself really calling early on, especially when there's dialogue that happens early on about something that's revealed that there's like a suspicion going on with something, and the way that it cuts to another scene after that where it gets revealed kind of midway through, I did also kind of wonder, like, okay, that I pretty much knew that was going to happen. And I feel like if the movie would have kept continuing and not really revealed a scene early on in the middle and would have maybe saved it for later, it probably would have brought myself really more into it. And I think I would have really, seen where the movie was going. But I feel like they did kind of miss a good opportunity with saving that for later on in the film. And that's the other thing that goes on with Ray Nicholson's character, because I felt like, there's more that really could have added on to him with that we could have explored more with his character. But with that being said, though, I still had a blast with this movie, and with that, I'm going to give it a compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. So, those of you who've also seen Novocaine, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you there.